we're going, we don't need roads.
This is your host Joey Cruel, and you are listening to Relentless Flashbackin. In every episode, I will travel back to a certain year of the past and I'll talk about its historical events, stuff, toys, cars, TV, movies, and music. You'll find Relentless Flashbackin on Mixcloud, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. With this episode, I'll travel back to 1989 and I'll talk about the news and the TV. The 80s are clearly, without any doubt, the best decade ever if we talk about modern Western civilization. Of course, they aren't perfect. There are also dark sides, but the 1989 proves that the 80s are excellent, bodacious, and outrageous. Let's start with bad news. Since the end of US involvement in the Vietnam War in 1973, the Western civilization is not entangled in long wars and/or wars with many nations implicated, like the Gulf War or the Afghanistan War. And yet, the demon of the war still tries to rise again, to grind and crush our sons. There were two episodes: the Falkland War in 1982 and the invasion of Grenada in 1983. And now, in 1999, there is another episode, the United States invasion of Panama, that will last for 1 month and will end at the end of January of the 1990. More than 20 Americans will not return to their homes. More than 300 soldiers will return wounded. In Panama, more than 500 civilians will die, and more than 20,000 will lose their homes. The mission is to capture the military general and dictator Manuel Noriega and bring peace and democracy. However, as always, these are only lies.
Last night I ordered U.S. military forces to Panama. I want to tell you what I did and why I did it. To defend democracy in Panama, to combat drug trafficking, and to protect the integrity of the Panama Canal Treaty. And the lives of American citizens were in grave danger.
The operation is illegal and provokes international outrage. The operation is only a trial before the beginning of a new sad era. From the 1990s and onwards, there will be a never-ending war. From the first Gulf War to Syria, the Western civilization, led by the US interventionist policy, will spread death around the globe. That will add fuel to the fire of Islamic terrorist groups. In 1989, the terrorism level is still low, but there are 33 attacks in the world. 5 of them are on the Western soil. In Germany, the Red Army faction, a far-left terrorism group, kills with a bomb the banker Alfred Rausen. Meanwhile, in UK, 2 IRA bombs go off, and luckily no one is hurt. In Norway, the police defuse a bomb. Right-wing extremists are suspected. In USA, there are 2 attacks, one in New York, where newspaper offices are firebombed, but there aren't dead or injured. Finally, during the summer and the fall of 1989, several outbreaks of medfly destroy crops throughout California, particularly in the Los Angeles metropolitan area. A personal group calling itself the Breeders takes responsibility for the bioterrorist attack as financial retaliation for the environmental damage caused by the state's melting aerospraying. The group's members were never identified. Subsequently, 3 months after the Breeders announced the medfly release, the California state will end its decade-long melting program and will sought alternative ways to handle destructive insects. What the bioterrorists did is wrong, but the melting isn't only bad for the environment, it can be toxic for humans and it can even cause cancer. There are 3 school shootings. The most serious is the Stockton schoolyard shooting. A violent criminal fatally shot 5 children and wounded 32 others before taking his own life. The Loma Prieta earthquake strikes San Francisco, causing more than 60 dead and countless wounded and damages. Most of the people died in old buildings building, so, once again, it's not the earthquake that is the killer, but the absence of prevention is the real culprit. Solar storms generate a geomagnetic storm that causes various problems in the entire world, and a 9-hour blackout in Quebec. Moreover, undulating multicolor auroras spread as far south as Texas and Cuba, and a red glow appeared in the night sky over most of the world.
Some startled people who never saw an aurora before even fear the nuclear war is broken out.
And now, let's go with good news. In 1989, the wealth is still high, and the middle class still has purchasing power. And the last year of the decade is marked by revolutions that will accept the Eastern Bloc, a group of communist states: USSR, Poland, Romania, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and Bulgaria. For example, Estonia shows its flag after 44 years in the capital Tallinn. Poland launches various laws that are making a move towards capitalism, and in May the construction of the first McDonald's begins in the USSR. George Bush becomes the 41st President of the United States and meets Gorbachev in Malta. This meeting is the beginning of the end of the Cold War. On November, the wind of change strikes the Berlin Wall. The 6 checkpoints of the wall are opened, and East Berliners are finally free to go through the wall. Then also the wall of shame falls and is demolished piece by Berliners. On New Year's Eve, there is a huge party with a concert held by David Hasselhoff for both parts of the wall. The fall of the wall is another important change in this awesome year. The European government finally opened its eyes, and 12 European community nations agreed to ban the production of all CFCs by the end of the century. Meanwhile, in USA, there are 3 important actions regarding guns. The Bush administration bans the importation of foreign-made semi-automatic rifles. A new US federal law requires that most toy guns must have a bright orange tip, so they will not be confused with a real gun. California prompts a state ban for assault weapons after the Stockton schoolyard shooting. On the 16th and 17th of August, on the site of the original Woodstock concert of 1969, takes place Woodstock 89, or the Forgotten Woodstock. This concert is a self-organized event to celebrate the 20th anniversary. People just arrive with their food from home, and there isn't a list of bands. They don't know even if there will be a stage or lights. So you can understand how this gathering is different from Woodstock 94 or Woodstock 99. This concert will be also remembered for the total lunar eclipse that happens during the night of the first day. In Iceland, after 74 years, the beer prohibition ends in 1989, and this day will become the Beer Day that will be celebrated every 1st of March. The spacecraft Galileo departs from the space shuttle Atlantis. It will arrive at Jupiter in 1995, and in 2003, after 14 years in space, will end its mission.
The devastating Cats in Boots, after the 1988 EP, released their first album, Kicked and Clawed, a true sleaze metal masterpiece, dirty, biting and wild. Cats in Boots are a Japanese-American band, at the guitar Takashi Ohashi and at the bass Yasuhiro Atai. On the other side there is Randy Mears on the drums and the incredible Joe Ellis on vocals. The album is deadly and it got only one track that's just average, the ballad Every Sunrise, but the rest hits you and leaves you breathless. Even the bonus track for the Japanese market, Tokyo Screaming, is perfect. Their gritty blues-tinged sleaze metal is an enthralling and restless assault. The 2 singles, Air Monkey and Shotgun Sally, are great examples, but also songs like Bad Boys Are Back or Evil Angel are totally radical. Unfortunately, Kicked and Clawed will remain the only Cats in Boots album, if you don't count the last works 1993-1995, a collection with leftover songs from the never-released second album. And now here is Cats in Boots with Shotgun Sally.
In this section I'll talk about TV. We can still watch 4 educational shows. On CBS there is Pee-wee's Playhouse since 1986. On Nickelodeon there is Mr. Wizard World, which continues since 1983. On PBS there is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, on air since 1968, and since 1969 there is Sesame Street. The horrendous news on 1989 is that Westinghouse sells Filmation to L'Oreal Cosmetics Company, and before the sale is complete, Westinghouse shutters the film studio. The most sincere and sweet American animation studio is turned off without mercy. Lou Scheimer, one of the original founders of Filmation, said, "We wouldn't think of putting something on the screen, whether for the theaters or television or home video, without building in pro-social values." Tell me if you heard something like that from another animation producer. Many people criticized the Masters of the Universe animated series by Filmation, but in 1989 they received what they deserve: the new animated series called The New Adventures of He-Man, produced by Jetlag. That's really repulsive, to put it mildly. Among the new animated series, there are 2 interesting series linked to the world of movies: the Beetlejuice spin-off series and then Camp Candy with John Candy. Both can be funny, but they aren't incredible. In this 1989 we can still have brand new seasons of 4 beloved animated series: Muppet Babies, that continues since 1984, The Real Ghostbusters, that continues since 1986, DuckTales and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, both started in 1987. And it's not enough. There is an unexpected couple of animated heroes that will save the day. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is an animated series with Chip and Dale in a completely new guise. Chip is dressed like Indiana Jones and Dale like Magnum PI, and they are fighting crime and solving mysteries. This animated series also welcomes brand new characters: Monterey Jack, Gadget Egg Wrench, and Zipper. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is full of action and it's really a must-watch, thanks also to the usually Disney gracious touch. Then arrives one of the longest animated families of the TV. The Simpsons debuted in December of '89. And what I can say that hasn't already been said about this incredible series? Every episode starts with the same opening, but at the end, the section called Catch Gag is different, but there will be also opening completely different. For example, in 2016, there will be an 80s tribute intro, so totally tubular that you will be filled with nostalgia. The Simpson family is composed by Homer, the father, Marge, the mother, and then a son, Bart, and 2 daughters, Lisa and Maggie, surrounded by the citizen of Springfield, a motley crew of weirdness. They will go through all kinds of adventures, and there will be famous guests. From the 2nd season and onwards, every Halloween there will be a special episode called Treehouse of Horror, with 3 separate segments. Usually they are highly absurd, and often they are parodies of famous movies, TV series and books. The success of the series will be extraordinary, big, mega, copious, capacious, Kajanga! And of course there will be merchandise. Everything that's related to the Simpsons universe will be transformed in merchandise. Even the fake company that appear on the show, such as the famous beer Duff. Think about that in 1997 there will be the most bodacious contest ever. You'll have a chance to win an house in Nevada that will be an exact copy of the Simpsons house. Or think about the 2007 movie or the 2014 musical, The Simpsons Take the Ball, that will be held at the Hollywood Bowl for 3 evenings with original voice actors and special guests. This animated series manages to be caustic without falling into bad taste or in easy bathroom jokes like the clones that will arrive in the 90s. This spirit, along the surprising voice acting, the screenplays and the memorable characters, are the ingredients to make The Simpsons a pioneering series. 1989 give us one of the best glam metal album. Pretty Boy Floyd's Leather Boys with Electric Toys is a masterpiece, period. Pretty Boy Floyd was born thanks to the guitarist Ariel Styles, who was replaced by Christy Measures shortly before the big contract. Styles had been part of the Carrie Doll group, and if you listen to the Dolls only demo, you can find songs that will later become a part of the Pretty Boy Floyd repertoire. So the guitar player watched from outside the band that he founded having success with songs written by him since 1982. In 1991 he will manage to rejoin the band, after the first of a long list of quarrels between singer Steve Summer and guitarist Christy Measures. But unfortunately, the fun time will be over, and the band will break up in 1994. Leather Boys with Electric Toys is totally radical. There is not a song to skip. Even the two ballads are full of meaning. The rebellious Wild Angels and the pure and innocent I Wanna Be With You. And there is also space for a cover for real Motley Crue fanatics, Toast of the Town, a 1981 track that was excluded from the second version of Too Fast for Love. The band's sensitivity also highlights the melancholy Last Kiss and Only the Young. Thanks to the lyrics, this song is a true generational hymn. The lyrics are beautiful and sadly prophetic, especially when they say, "They always despise the things we symbolize. There is no harm done. We are just having fun. It's no hard to recognize. Well, they try to destroy the things that we enjoy, like rock and roll, our hair and clothes." Just think what will happen in 1991 and you understand how prophetic these lyrics are. Then, when Pretty Boy Floyd pushed the pedal to the metal, they shock us with their electric toys, with 6 aggressive bullets that leave no alternative. Have fun or die. The lascivious Your Mama Will Know, the unleashed rock and roll outlaws. 48 Hours, that will be part of the soundtrack for Karate Kid Part 3. Rock and Roll Set the Night on Fire, with a larger-than-life video that will go on every rotation on MTV. Then there is the Japanese bonus track Slam Dunk, written by Dubrow from Quiet Riot, that will be included in the soundtrack for the 1991 movie Switch. And finally, let's not forget the magniloquent title track, a true manifesto. The album advertising boasts a powerful and evocative tagline: Rebellion, innocence, and teenage thrills. This tagline represents in a terrific and perfect way the album and also the atmosphere of the carefree side of the 80s. In a nutshell, Leather Boys with Electric Toys is one of the must-buy albums of 1989. With this album I end the first episode on 1989. For the next episode I'll keep talking about the same year, with stuff, toys and cars. Please subscribe to the channel and follow the show on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. If you want to give your support, please visit Teespring and Patreon. Relentless Flashbackin is easy to find, because the name is unique all over the web. And now, from Leather Boys with Electric Toys, here is Pretty Boy Floyd with 48 Hours. Stay outrageous, stay larger than life, Romeo, Foxtrot, Bravo!